Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Don't you want to sound rich?
Welcome to episode 51 of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. I am your host, Floyd Johnson, and with me today is... Tiffany. How are you doing today, Tiffany?
I am good. I'm good. How are you?
Just fine. How does it feel to be the heart and soul of All Elite Wrestling?
I'm still not over it, honestly. I'm so happy you were there to witness it, and that was probably the best night of my life. So I'm still watching the videos kind of like to know it actually happened, because it was just so surreal that just to know it happened isn't enough. I need to be able to visually see it to really believe it. But yeah, Cloud 9. I'm still on Cloud 9 for sure.
What's crazy is I still like watching one today because I'm next to you, and I'm sitting there like like we're gonna get Cody after the show, and I'm just like making sure you get. I'm like, I hope you get to Cody. I knew how disappointed you will be if that wouldn't have worked. And then it started happening, and I just like, wow, I was there for that. I still will say that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was gonna say, even when we moved up to the second row, when people left after the very last, or during the very last match, and Sam told me come on up to the guardrail after, I still just thought that it was because Cody was going to come out after and hopefully get a ringside selfie, because we know he comes out after the shows, especially when he's not on the actual show. So I knew, Sam knows what Cody means to me. So I was, at that point, I still had no clue, because I just, no matter what, I don't expect anything, and, I never do. So, when Sam told me to come up after the last match, I just kind of came up thinking, okay, well, this will give me a really good chance to say hi to Cody when he comes around after he comes out, says some stuff, and then comes around and tries to greet as many fans as he can. So even then, I had no idea. And I even asked Sam, I was like, hey, do you think Cody's going to come out? And he was like, he should. He wasn't on the show, so he should come out. And he played it off. But then I noticed him, send a text the minute that I asked that, right after. And I still think now, I'm wondering if it was maybe him telling Cody that I had no idea, because I truly didn't. So that was just something where, until Cody literally was like, we have this very, very special fan, and, that was when I thought maybe, but even then I still doubted it. But when he said she's responsible for Heart of the Elite, I just had tears in my eyes, and it was just like, this is happening. And I know Floyd was probably a few feet away from me saying, it's happening. I think that's what's on your video.
Yes.
He realized it. So
yeah, as soon as he started doing the intro, I knew it was you. And when they talk about having a super fan in the audience, I was like, there's no, there's no one else. I mean, yeah, I just didn't think like if they would have said anyone else's name, I probably would have walked out. I would have been angry.
It's funny too because Cody loves to exaggerate. So of course he says she's been to like 800 AEW events when we know there haven't been 800. And back when he did NWA 70, I'm sure a lot of you remember the story where he announced to everybody that it was my 1,000th show with him and wrote that on the 8x10 he signed. So we're up to like 1,800 shows, which, some people, when I said that as a joke, they were like, well, I'd believe it after, as many years as you've been seeing him. But still, I just have to say how much I love Cody's exaggerations. They always make me smile. So that was pretty amazing. I don't know if I'll ever get over that night.
I don't think I will either. I am very big that my AEW moment was being in the first row when Arn came in and did the spine buster. I have to say it probably replaces that moment for me because it was just...
That's pretty huge.
Yeah, because it was what was supposed to happen, even though you don't think it was supposed to happen. That's what was supposed to happen. It's why AEW, to me, is their fan service beats everyone else's. You know what I mean? I've never heard of that happening at any company, like in the youth, bringing in a super fan. You know what I mean?
Right.
As I say, there was really no special circumstances other than them being in your city. Generally there'll be some kind of special circumstance for them to do something like that for someone, and it's like there was no special circumstance. It was just them showing love for a hardcore fan, and that is, like I said, it's what's going to keep them separate. I know as they get larger, they probably won't be able to do that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things. I will say I hope they can continue to do it, because just think about that. It's not something I expect them to do for anyone else, really. But it's just the idea that they recognize their fans to that level is pretty remarkable. And the fact that, I even said it. I have been called several times by friends the biggest Cody fan. And I always stop them and I pause. I was like, no. I might be number 2. I was like, but there's Tiffany, there's a Grand Canyon, and then there's number 2. So, I
love that. I love it.
So I was like, I might be number 2. I don't know. We know some other, pretty big Cody fans. So, but I always say it's Tiffany with a bullet. It's not even close. But yeah, I really did want you to get a chance to talk about it, because last week's show we couldn't coordinate to talk about it, so I at least wanted you be able to say something about it on the show. We had a great time in Kansas City. We're crazy. We did Kansas City. I drove up for the Kansas City show. We did Kansas City. I drove back home, chilled for a day, and then we both jumped on the flights to go to Chicago. Let's see. I'm going to ask you a tough question that I didn't prepare you for. So if you need to take a second, you can. What was your favorite thing that happened that weekend?
Oh, in Chicago?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, right?
Well,
you weren't prepared.
I know. He likes to do this to me. He's like, oh, by the way, I have this question that you have absolutely no preparation for. But it's kind of fun to do it that way. I would have to say, probably for me, getting Cody's blessing on my tattoo that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's ironic that he obviously was covering something at C2E2 all day. Bless his heart for committing to that, not wanting to reveal his tattoo until the pay-per-view. So I thought that was just such a Cody thing to do, that he's just going to literally rock his very nice, expensive suit with a Young Bucks scarf just so that he can get that reveal at the pay-per-view, because that's, like I said, that's just such a Cody thing to do. So it's just funny because I have been meaning to ask him for his blessing, and I don't like to take advantage of DMing him very often, so I usually just don't because, I don't want to be that person. So I try to save things for when I see him in person. So I was like, okay, I'm going to ask him if he can give me his blessing on the Nightmare Family tattoo that I've had designed that I've been wanting since the summertime. And so it's just funny that the time I asked him is when he got his. So again, that's just how our friendship works. So it just kind of makes me laugh. But at C2E2, I did get to, obviously we did the meet and greet with Cody and the Bucks, which is always a good time to see them three together. I absolutely just adore them, especially as a trio. They just put out the best vibes, and they're so much fun. And I love Matt and Nick, but of course seeing Cody is always a highlight, and showing him the tattoo and getting his blessing, and now it's just a factor of when and where and how we're going to make it happen. So it was really exciting for me to be able to get his blessing finally, and also the irony of it that I asked once when he was literally covering up his brand new Nightmare Family tattoo. So that was really cool. But honestly, the whole weekend we just had so much fun. The panel at C2E2, the first half was a lot of fun. Again, it has to do with that just watching Cody and the Bucks talk. I would have preferred the whole hour to just be them talking with Excalibur versus the Q&A. I think Floyd and I agree on that. The Q&As tend to get a little out of hand, and some of the questions are just kind of out there. But again, it was still a great time. And then
their questions are trash.
Oh, go ahead.
Their questions are trash.
Yeah, I'm being nice, but yeah, they're bad questions. They're not good. But C2E2 in general was fun. Getting to just do the panel and see them. And, I mean, Floyd and I got Stan's Donuts, which was delicious, and I'm still missing those donuts. And, yeah, we got to see a lot of friends. The show was a lot of fun. I mean, got to witness that tag match. I mean, it was overall just another exceptional weekend of AEW fun with my buddy Floyd. So, yeah, the highlight would have to be getting the Cody's blessing on the tattoo. But overall, I mean, just an absolute stellar weekend.
Yes, my highlight of the week was my White Castles. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. It was that whole
only half kidding.
the environment that they set up. I talk about it a lot with All In and things like that, but the fact that you're just walking around and you see Tony Schiavone, you see Sonny Kiss, you see all the people from the company just standing there, and they're super friendly. I got to talk to Sammy, tell him I was getting him his shirt. It's just that environment, though. It does. I know we are fans, and they are the performers. AEW does a great job of making it feel like a family, and it makes it feel like a family atmosphere. You're not just supporting these random people. You're supporting the company. You're supporting the people. You meet and see the people. They know your face because you're at so many things. It's like, yeah. Now, I will tell anyone, I've said this on the show before, but this is for any new listeners we picking up. Walking around with Tiffany is like walking around with someone from the company. I'm not kidding. People recognize her. They hug her. They want pictures. We had these really nice people that, we went to Pro Wrestling Tees, and they wanted a picture with Tiffany, and they threw me in there. And I was so happy. I was so happy, but I knew it was a pity picture. I knew it was a pity picture because, I'm not Tiffany. I'm the guy that stands behind Tiffany, which I'm perfect. Tiffany knows I am perfectly fine with that. I tell her all the time, I couldn't handle your level of fame because I'm just not, even though I'm friendly, I'm more friendly. I'm just not one of those people that like, hey, let's take 900 pictures. That's Tiffany. That is it. So,
it's pretty wild, but it's fun, and I love meeting everybody, so it's a great time.
Yeah, your full name is world famous. Heart of the Elite. Heart and soul of the Elite, excuse me.
Yeah, depending on which introduction with Cody, he put over the channel, and then Justin Roberts said that I was the true heart and soul of All Elite Wrestling, which I will, as long as I live, never get over, because that was by far the best compliment anyone could ever pay me, and I will hold that very near and dear to my heart and always try to hold true to that exceptional title. So just no words.
Just remember, when you're listening to this show, you are listening to the heart and soul of All Elite Wrestling, Tiffany. on one week. The next week, you're listening to the most positive person on the planet, Amy. And then, you know who's hosting? Me. Yeah, that guy. Floyd. Don't worry about it.
You're so much more than that. Stop it.
But we're gonna get to start the show. We're not gonna try to keep you too long today. But I want to start the show. Remind you, this episode of All Things Elite is brought to you by Power Slam TV. Power Slam TV, where you get access to over 4,000 hours of content from over 110 of your favorite wrestling brands from countries all around the globe, right onto your laptop and mobile device. If you use the code Social Suplex, you get the first month free. Also want to remind you, make sure you are downloading our show on Google or Apple Podcasts, or you're listening to us on our content provider, Red Circle. You can either follow Social Suplex or you can follow All Things Elite channel on its own. Either way, download. If you are on Google Podcasts and Apple, I believe you can leave ratings and reviews. Red Circle does not have that option yet. So, that kind of thing. Leave reviews, let us know. But they do have something better than a rating review. They have a donate button. You ever want to just press that button, throw us a few bucks? It will only go to making this show better. That's the only thing that's the only thing we will ever use that money for. On Twitter, please follow us at AT Elite Pod or at Social Suplex. You can follow at Tiffany at All Elite Tiffany. Or you can follow Amy at Phoenix AEW or me at Floyd Johnson Jr. Again, I would rather you put that attention to the podcast at AT Elite Pod. So that is all of that. Now we can actually talk about wrestling. We already talked about our weekend in Chicago. I put this over on Twitter, and I would definitely like to say it again. I think I love Cody more than anything, but the best experience, live wrestling experience right now, I do go to WWE, I go to other shows, but the best live wrestling experience now, and Tiffany, you can tell me if you disagree, is the sing-along with Judas right now. It's just such a powerful event, especially in at Revolution when they had the acapella choir singing to begin with, and then the fans sang along. It's just a pretty good event. It's just an amazing event. I don't ever sing because, I'm not really a big fan of the song, which is weird. I know, sacrilege. But Tiffany sings. So
I do. I think it's fantastic. I love it. I hope it continues, and I worry that if Chris Jericho does take any bit of time off, for the tour, I just hope that when he comes back that it continues. But we'll talk more about that when we talk about Dynamite. But regardless, I don't think it'll phase out anytime soon, even if he does take here and there a Wednesday night off for his tour. It's just so huge. It's over. What's going on? And it's funny when there's a few people randomly who get kind of upset about it. They're like, "Oh, he's a heel. He shouldn't sing along." No, he's Chris freaking Jericho. Okay, he is. And I know that some will argue, but in my opinion, the greatest to ever do it. If you're a pro wrestler right now and you're not, and Chris Jericho isn't your end game goal of what you want to do in your career, then you should just stop wrestling because he's everything. I mean, he just was voted the 2019 Wrestler of the Year, and it's well deserved. I mean, he is just at the top of his game, and the thing is, he's always at the top of his game. He's never not. And so, yeah, if it's heel, good guy, bad guy, whatever, if you're singing along to Judas, it's a great thing to do. I can't imagine people that get mad about that. I know it's a handful, so it doesn't really matter. But you see the comments, and I'm just kind of like, what? No, that's absolute perfect fan participation. And when you hear it, whether you're in the arena experiencing it, which is just really, really cool, or even just watching it on TV, I just think it comes across so cool that once the music ends and then the fans carry out the next, verse, it's just great. And I agree with Floyd. It's definitely at the top of the list of live event experiences right now. It's just so cool. And I'm so glad that, the joke, of course, is that I started it at Double or Nothing because there's even a gif of me singing it. But truthfully, just seeing it get bigger and bigger, and on the Jericho Cruise, it was huge, and it's just become a thing now. Like, I love it. I love that it's become a thing.
Yeah, I definitely. It's just like I said, if I've been called an AEW shill, and I'm okay with that. But definitely go to AEWTix.com when they come to your event, your area. Buy the ticket, go to the show, and just sing it with your heart out. This is what you do. It's just what you do. It's fun. It's become like a staple of AEW, which is kind of cool. I like that about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we get to Dynamite review, Dark, there was only one match on Dark this week. It was Yuka Sakazaki and Rio versus Penelope Ford and Britt Baker. It was a match shot before Revolution. We were at that. Britt Baker taps out Rio with it's Lockjaw? Is that what it's called? So
Lockjaw, yeah.
Yeah. So Britt Baker and Penelope Ford pick up the win. And I was just, I thought it was a pretty, decent match. Towards the end, there was a little bit of a miscommunication. It actually amused me at that time, but there was another one on Dynamite that did not amuse me. You'll hear that back. You'll probably hear me get about as angry as I ever get today on this Dynamite review. That's what you call, setting up the rest of the show. So here we go. Dynamite review, March 4th, 2020, from Denver, or Broomfield, Colorado, which I hate Denver because I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I actually hate the city. But I made an exception because AEW is there, and Denver was freaking lit. Man, that crowd was crazy.
Yeah, that was an amazing crowd. Man, they really were. And I have to say real quick that we were in the crowd, but Kansas City was on fire too. And I know I'm biased because it's from where I'm from, but even Cody said at C2E2, he kept talking about how great Kansas City crowd was. And so that really, and he didn't even have a segment. So the fact that he was just back there at production watching and was so impressed by the Kansas City crowd, I was very excited to hear that because I feel like that's a good sign of them coming back. And then, of course, like Floyd said, Denver, man, on fire, start to finish, and I just love it. There's nothing better than the crowd putting into the show what the wrestlers are putting in for us, and it just comes off great on TV when you get to hear that fire crowd just, like, going crazy. So I absolutely agree. Denver was on fire.
It's crazy what happens when you put on good shows every week and you just put on good wrestling, what the crowd will do. It's like I was once told crowds are super snarky and they just want to go against the product. I've been told, I've heard this before talking about a different company, and I've heard that from people in that company that you know what, you can't do it with crowds anymore. They want to cheer for the bad guys, and they want to boo the good guys, and it's just we're just living this ironic age, and the day of the old school wrestling crowd is gone. Well, I've been seeing this old school wrestling crowd like every week, and they seem to be into it, and they seem to be cheering the people they're supposed to cheer and booing the people they're supposed to boo. And I'm just like, maybe it's not the fans. Maybe not taking any shots, but might not be the fans. The fans might not be the issue. But as we kick off Dynamite, we kick off with the new AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. Dude, his entrance is so simple, but he looks like such a badass every time.
He does.
Yeah, so he gets into the ring, and he's just going off the cuff, and he says, he thanks the fans and says this belt doesn't belong to him, it belongs to the fans, and he's happy that they brought pro wrestling back, which big celebration. And then he tells Chris Jericho and the inner circle, you can come at him. He dares you. And speaking of the best moment in wrestling, the Judas music hits, and out comes Chris Jericho with the inner circle. He tells them that the Inner Circle has been friendly and nice, but now they are a hit squad and everybody's on notice. He then guarantees that Jon Moxley will not walk out of the arena tonight on his own power. If he does walk out of the ring on his own power, Chris Jericho will not take 30, but will take a 60 days sabbatical. Jon Moxley said, I'm going to make you look like a stupid, I think he said son of a bitch, and send you packing for 60 days. Now, I don't know if you can remember, at this point, what were you thinking? Do you remember?
I think, I was thinking what everybody was thinking, that Chris Jericho was taking off 60 days to go tour with Fozzy. I mean, it was a obvious, to me, what I thought was an obvious setup with a great way of doing it and working it into the show. We'll touch on the brilliance of that as we get towards the end of the show. But yeah, I mean, I think it was pretty widely agreed upon that we all kind of said, okay, that's how we're getting rid of Chris Jericho for 60 days. And so, yeah, I think that's where most of our brains were at that point.
I can say this, and I actually messaged a friend when this was happening, thinking that it might be a red herring, because I was like, man, this just seems like, in my mind, and this is what I put in the message.
Almost too good.
The idea seems too much like WWE to me. The idea that,
right.
Yeah, that he would do this right before the tour. So I was like, I smell something fishy. And that only comes from the idea that I've been wrong so much with AEW. Trying to... Yeah,
and I totally get you on that. I just, it was one of those things where I didn't think... I get what you're saying, and I kind of it makes sense, but it was kind of one of those, well, what else can they do kind of thing. They almost didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. I understood where everybody else was. It was just every time, for me, and this is it might not be everyone else, but for me, every time I think I know the direction AEW is going, they do something different. I knew Chris Jericho.
100% agree.
I knew Chris Jericho was beating Jon Moxley at Revolution. I knew it. 100%. We do this little prediction sheet with my friends, and you can put confidence points. I put all my confidence behind Chris Jericho retaining. No, didn't happen. It was just and that happens more times than not with AEW. They don't have predictable booking yet. It's amazing to me. But that's how.
Yeah, and I would say not even yet. I just think that what they're doing works, and they're not predictable. And I mean, anytime I list my predictions, I'm just sitting there when I do my prediction videos. I'm like, it could go either way, and that's the best feeling in the world when you genuinely don't know who's going to win. So I love that.
Yeah, I definitely. The next match, we get a 4-on-4 match, 8-man tag. We get SCU and the debuting Boom Boom Colt Cabana against the Dark Order. Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. I have to say, the best decision John Silver and Alex Reynolds ever made was joining the Dark Order. Just saying. They're on TV, they win some, come on. That was a great decision. Tony Schiavone reminds you that the Dark Order are the number 1 ranked tag team in AEW. The result of this match is Chicago's own Colt Cabana got the pinfall victory after he hit Reynolds, I believe, with the Chicago Skyline and the Superman finisher. Then Evil Uno says this is not how it's supposed to go. When the Exalted One arrives, heads will roll. I'm going to ask, do you remember a more anticipated reveal than the Dark Order's Exalted One in wrestling?
I mean, I don't. I mean, it's the fact that it's just so talked about, and every little piece that drops, whether it's on Dynamite or on Twitter, whatever, that everybody is just zooming in and changing the color scheme to find the little hidden messages in the graphics. It's so. I mean, it's funny too because you and I'm sure we could go back on the show and find when we both said, give the Dark Order a chance. I want to like them. I just need a reason to care. But I have full faith that AEW will give me that reason. It's just brand new. People just, we've always preached patience. And here we are. I mean, it's so talked about. It's so anticipated. And I love the build. I love the slow build. I don't think that everything needs to happen in one night. So, it's definitely... I think if you would have a few months ago asked a lot of people who are just as invested now, if they would have believed us when we said, hey, just be patient, but this is going to pay off, they probably wouldn't have believed us, but I think they do now.
Yes, I am 100% behind patience. Again, I get called the AEW shield, but, as people, they're doing this for the first time, weekly TV. People are going to find their niche, they're going to get better. And it's just like this whole Dark Order is just proof of concept. It's like you might not have understood it at the beginning. We're going to get there eventually. I love how everyone's trying to guess who the Exalted One is. I am sticking with my pick of Marty. The only reason I'm sticking with it, and I'm going to tell you, I am confident I'm wrong. But I'm sticking with it because in case I'm right, I get to brag about it.
Oh my goodness!
I just don't want to. If you throw out 11 names, and then it's one of those 11 names, do you really get to brag about it? It's like, you guess like 100 times.
You gotta commit. Yeah. I respect the commitment.
I'm like, I know I'm wrong. I am like 98% sure I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I get to talk about it and be like, I'm the one that's been saying it at the beginning. I never left off that person. I know. I shouldn't be this way, but I am. So, no one's perfect, not even me. No, but
pretty close, bro. Pretty close.
Now, and I know you want to let it happen. I do. Do you have a guess?
My only guess is that it's not Matt Hardy and not Brody Lee. I tweeted that out on Wednesday, and the tweet just went crazy. I did not expect anyone to really care about it. It was just kind of a thought where I said, what if Matt Hardy and Brody Lee are both coming to AEW, and neither is the Exalted One? And people were just like, wait, what? And I think that AEW has done such a phenomenal job of making you believe that it's Matt Hardy. I just don't think it is. And if it is, I won't be mad. I'm not saying it's predictable. I'm not I won't be mad if it is. I mean, it's not coming from a place of that it would be a bad or letdown. I mean, I'm just excited to feel like it's pretty certain Matt Hardy is coming to AEW. So that in itself is just nothing but a positive, no matter what he does. I just don't think it's him. And in Brody Lee, a little more likely that it could be versus, at least in my opinion, of it being Matt. But I feel like I don't think it's either one, and I think it's going to be a complete swerve, and I think it's going to pay off because I feel like I'm pretty confident that AEW has really good payoffs when things happen. So I am excited to see who it is, but I don't have a prediction of who I think it is, except there's a part of me that actually agrees with Floyd, which might blow his mind. I don't think it's completely out of the question that it could be Marty still. We are in a point in wrestling that, with the exception of WWE, companies are working together. And if, let's just say that Marty is the Exalted One and was always going to be the Exalted One, what a better way for people to truly just absolutely remove him from the equation than to have him do what he's doing in pro wrestling right now. I mean, it's not likely, but it's possible. And so I'm not going to totally step away from that prediction either. But as far as my prediction's more of who it's not, and I'm going to go on record and saying I don't think it's Matt Hardy, and I do not think it's Brody Lee.
All right. Well, I actually agree with both of those. I don't think either one. I don't think it makes sense for either one to me. Matt Hardy's, broken character was never really evil. You know what I mean? It was always campy and funny, but it was never evil. So I don't know if that makes sense, But we will see. I think Matt Hardy can pull it off. He's fucking talented. So don't get me wrong. I think he would definitely pull it off. I just think too many signs are pointing at it for me to believe that that's who it is.
Absolutely.
All right. So then the best music in wrestling comes on, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, and then they had the nerve to go during the commercial during his entrance.
Oh, boy, don't get me started on that.
That's what I was trying to do, was get you started on that.
Well, you did. I was very sad about that. I am grateful to people in the crowd of Denver. More than one has taped or recorded the in-between and tweeted it to me, so thank you to everyone who did that. It means a lot that, you're sitting in a crowded Dynamite, you take a video of Cody during the commercial break, and your first thought is make sure you tweet it to Tiffany. So that means a lot, so thank you for that. But yeah, I'm sitting there, and he's coming out, and I'm like, oh, it's time, it's Cody time, and I'm tweeting, and I'm excited. And then the next thing I know, it goes to a commercial. And no, it's not a split-screen commercial. It's a downright commercial. And I was very, very angry about this. And I posted an all-caps tweet about it because that's what I do. And yeah, I was very disappointed. I'm like, you do not go to a commercial, a full commercial, when Cody Rhodes is in the ring. You just don't do that. So I say this with like lighthearted anger because I'm not really angry about it, but I was very upset at the time. But I know there's a lot going on, and they have to do what they have to do, and it's Cody, and Cody's always willing to be the one to do whatever needs to be done for the company. So yeah, it's fine. But I was not fine at the time. I was very sad because I was robbed of Cody time on TV. But yes, as Floyd pointed out, he wanted to get me going, so here we go. But yeah, I was very sad when it happened, but I'm very grateful to the people who decided to make sure they tweeted me the commercial break. You guys are awesome. And what followed, well, I'll let Floyd continue with that.
All right, so Jim Ross,
we need to talk about this.
Jim Ross lets us know Cody's taking over the arena. They genuine love in the athlete. And it's like, but he talks about broaching the subject of personally lose to MJF. I can tell you professionally what it means, but the only way I'd be comfortable if MJF comes out right now, looks me in the eye and tell me he beat me fair and square. Which, come on. All right, that ain't going to happen. Instead of MJF, we hear music that we've never heard before. And on the graphic, you see the name Jake the Snake. And then you see Jake the Snake Roberts. I'm like, what? I just all I put was WTF, and I had to add another one after this. Jake the Snake Roberts, legend, comes out. I initially thought, I don't know what you thought, I didn't know what to think, but I initially thought he was coming out to give Cody a pep talk, telling him he probably had to go a little dirty to beat MJF. No, that's not what he did. He said, I hate to spoil the party, but he was tired of hearing Cody cry. Through his whole 30-year or 20-year career, he had never cried over one match. He says, I am not here to praise you. I'm here to slay you. Perfect line. Jake Roberts, perfect at this. The only reason I'm here is because the dark side will be coming to AEW, and once our roots have taken hold, it'll be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. So he did make a reference to Cody being the alliance. So I'm guessing this dark side is more of a Star Wars reference. And he says it's been 20 years to get clean and to get right. Everybody celebrated that because very happy for him. You think for 1 minute that I'm going to be a nice boy and play right. My man, you've got another thing coming. I will be on the outside of the ring when his client faces him. And you can bring that one-trick pony Arn Anderson with you. Okay, I got to say, that was like a stab to the heart. And and then he said, oh, Caesar, you see, I'm not in AEW to take the whole pie, just your share. He made a lot of references to Caesar, and you had a lot of people on the internet referring to the Ides of March. And then he ended with this perfect line. A wise man once told me, you never turn your back on someone who you respect or who you're afraid of. At that moment, Jake Roberts immediately turns his back to leave the ring and throws the mic over his shoulder. Oh my God. There's so much to unpack here. Tiffany, what was your reaction?
I, more than anything, just shocked. Obviously, that was the last thing that any of us expected to happen. I don't know that I thought MJF was going to come out, and clearly he wasn't going to come out and say, I beat you fair and square to Cody, but it started off very much like Cody coming out and getting on the mic, and I thought that it was going to be some form of continuation of that with him and Max. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought Jake the Snake would come out, but I've never been more happy for something I didn't think would happen. I'm very excited for it. I love the way AEW uses legends. I've said this many times. It's perfect. You use them to put them alongside someone new, or to, in a way like Arn is being used with Cody. I mean, there's a way to use them beautifully, because nostalgia is important in pro wrestling, but it has to be done right. And I think AEW gets that. And I credit Cody for a lot of that, just because of his love of old school, but also being very much a proponent of wanting the new talent to shine. So, but yeah, as far as what happened, oh my gosh, as someone who loves Cody as much as I do, it hurt. Those words hurt me. And, I don't know. I'm still processing it, to be honest. Trying to figure out who I think might be the client, and, to come out and disrespect Cody on such a level, my brain is more like, of course I'm trying to figure out who the client is, but I'm trying to figure out what this means for Cody, because, clearly someone new's coming in. Clearly Cody's going to be the one that goes with this person in the start of, for their AEW debut. But my brain is focused on okay, and especially because I don't know who the client is, I can't help but think, okay, wait, where is this going for Cody? So I am just lost right now, and I need more.
You want to know something? Something crazy? And this was a comparison I had. Cody is like the AEW Undertaker. And I haven't said this on the show before. The reason I say it is, once the Undertaker streak got going on, the streak became the title. You know what I mean? Everyone would come in every year, and they were like, okay, I'm going to end your streak. It actually, to a point in some years, was more important. Trying to end Undertaker's streak was more important than the WWE title. That's kind of what position Cody's in right now. He is the face of AEW. So every new guy, every bad guy, every person that comes in the company is going to try to make their name by going after who? Cody. So
Absolutely.
Going after Cody and beating Cody almost has become more important than the world title, even though the world title is super important. But generally, if someone's coming in, wouldn't they go after the world champion? But no,
you would think.
The way this company is set up, the way it is set up, it's almost more important to go after the face. And Cody is the face of AEW. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not saying he's the most important person in AEW. You might,
I'm saying he is. No, I'm kidding.
We can agree to disagree on that. Because,
But he is the face of the company, and I think most people would agree with that.
He's the voice of the company. When things are said at the company, it is not Tony or anyone else in the Elite talking. It is Cody responding. So when any person comes in, it is important to go after the face of the company. And that is what Jake and his client are doing. I am looking forward to it. Like I said, it's just weird because it seems like it's such a vocal point. Cody's matches matter, which are great. Like MJF, we'll talk about this in a minute, but he managed to beat Cody, and you see who his next, who his next target is. And like I said, we'll talk about it shortly. So after that impressive thing that had everybody talking, people are still talking about it. We had the Bastard Pac versus Chuck Taylor, a.k.a. Chucky T, in a singles match. They actually put on a really good match. Chuck Taylor's one of those people that could go, and Pac's one of the best wrestlers in the world. But we got to get to the end where Chuck Taylor goes for a moonsault, but he missed. Pac then put in the brutalizer submission and got the victory. After the match, Pac still holding on to the move, and Trent gets in to face up with Pac, excuse me. And Orange Cassidy comes in, pushes Trent out the way, and he starts staring down Pac. And then the Lucha Bros come in and attack for the second time. And it's like you're wondering what's going on. What are the Lucha Bros and Pac? Why do they got in common? Because first Pac kind of looks like he didn't know why they were out there. Then they all started jumping. Pac gets on the mic and announced that they have formed a new alliance that will be called Death Triangle or Triángulo de la Muerte. I actually looked that up just so I could say it on the show. But the Death Triangle, what do you think about this new group?
I am excited. I love the name. I think it's great. I am so much a fan of alliances and factions. This is not news to anyone. I've said for so long, even before AEW came to be, that I miss factions in pro wrestling. I love factions. Anyone who joins a faction automatically is boosted up from just being a random person. You can still wrestle singles. You can wrestle tag. You can do anything you can do as a singles person. But when you're with a faction, you get purpose, and it just helps elevate people. So I love factions and alliances. It's always been something that I've been a fan of. So once again, just another alliance to make, you and people want to see the Lucha Bros on TV. Well, here we go. We have them aligning with Pac, and I think it's going to be great. And I love the name. I will say we have another shape. We have the Inner Circle and now the Death Triangle. So I wonder what the next one will be. No, I'm kidding. But no, truthfully, I love it. I think it's going to be a badass stable. You've got three of the most, all three of them. And it's like, it's, the Lucha Bros are super popular, but it just somehow makes sense seeing them three together. I think it's going to be great, and I'm just really, really excited for it because of the fact, again, that I absolutely love alliances. I think it makes pro wrestling far more fun to watch and interesting when you have the factors of who's going to join or who's going to defect. And like I said, it just makes people who maybe couldn't have a right place on the show in that time, like they join a faction, they've already got elevated. So it's great. And so I'm really excited for it. I've heard people kind of mention this, and I don't know that it's really even a rumor or more just people hoping, but I can't help but hope it myself that seeing another trio form, that maybe at some point AEW will introduce a trios championship, which I think would be super cool. So that's just something that kind of came to mind. And I saw some people tweeting about it when we have another trio that formed. So, yeah, I'm all for it. And when they just brutalized Orange Cassidy, I feel like, there's fans that love Orange Cassidy. Clearly he is over. You can't take that away from him, but there's also fans that just can't stand the whole thing. You either get it or you don't. And I'm kind of in the middle. I'm indifferent to it, I should say. But I feel like that moment was kind of for the people that aren't getting it, and they got to see him just kind of absolutely brutalized. And I'm sure some people enjoyed that. And then, of course, far more didn't because they love him. But either way, I thought the whole segment played out really well. And Death Triangle being a thing I am here for it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to say, just for people that didn't know, that name, Triángulo de la Muerte, or Death Triangle, is Penta and Ray's trainer, was a member of that group, in Mexico, and you chose the name to honor him. So
that's awesome.
So there is no shape-themed factions. You're not going to find about the rectangle of death or anything like that later.
I was kidding. It was a joke.
No, actually, you want to know something funny? I planned to address this, and I actually wrote this down as a note because somebody was I saw that joke so many times.
Oh, wow.
So I saw that so many times.
Kidding.
So I literally put it in the show notes to reference to let everyone know that there is a reason that they're named the Death Triangle.
So we're not going to get the rectangles of whatever.
Yes. No, it's not coming down like that. Then we get the video for Sean Spears and Tully Blanchard's Sean Spears is looking for a tag team partner. Hashtag search for Spears. Only reason I bring this up, you should go to Twitter, do hashtag search for Spears. Some of these are wrestler videos. I'm guessing they're going to actually choose a wrestler. And there's some very videos in there. My favorite is Simon Miller from What Culture, because I am a person every week right after AEW, as soon as they get to show up, next morning, I watch Ups and Downs every week. Simon Miller, the What Culture Wrestling, I just find him very entertaining. He is well put together. I think they would make a great tag team. Some good cross-promotional there. But, yeah, do hashtag search for Spears. See some very entertaining videos. We then get QT Marshall, accompanied by Brandy Rhodes and the natural Dustin Rhodes. That's another trio, Cody, QT, and Dustin, just saying. Versus the Inner Circle's Big Hurt, Jake Hager, who comes out to the ring with Santana Ortiz. Again, I mean, the whole idea of factions, this is why it works. Even when you're not on the show, you're on the show. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So, pretty basic match. Hager ends up tapping out QT with his arm and neck choke submission. And then we get all hell kind of broke loose. Dustin came in to break up Hager's hold. Santana Ortiz come in, of course, start attacking Dustin. Cody ran down, and he's clearing the ring. Then he gets hit with a chair by Santana, and they're beating on them. Then Matt Jackson comes out and super kicks everybody. And then he gets taken out by Jake Hager. Hangman stumbles out, puts his drink on the post, takes his time, flips over, and then he gives the old buckshot lariat to Jake Hager and clears the rest of the ring. Matt Jackson tried to shake Hangman's hand. Hangman gives him the old middle finger, and then left to grab some beers from the fan. He's like, dude, they done gave me like $1,000 worth of beer. It was just kind of funny that he said that. So
yeah.
What did you think of this whole segment?
I thought it was, I enjoy seeing, I'm really excited, first of all, for the Natural Nightmares, to see QT and Dustin as a team, and then putting Brandy in there as their kind of manager. It's perfect. It's exactly what needs to happen, because as we've discussed, we love Arn being Cody's coach, and I don't know that, having two managers out there, and I love seeing Brandy with Cody, but for me personally, like, it should be one or the other, because then it becomes a little too much at ringside. So I love that the Nightmare family, the faction of that, is definitely a thing. But that, we've got, and I think it's a cool, it's different seeing Brandy with QT and Dustin. Like, I really think this is going to work. I think the fans are going to really kind of start to fall in love with QT, because he's very talented, he's very likable, and then you have him paired with Dustin. So, like, to me, that's just a win, because everybody loves everybody loves Dustin. I don't know anyone who doesn't. And if you don't love Dustin, I think there's something wrong with you. So, but the segment itself, I think you said that Santana hit Cody with the chair. I'm pretty sure it was Ortiz, because that sets up the match for next week, which is going to be Cody versus Ortiz, which I am so excited for. But sticking with the segment itself, I love those segments that AEW brings us. They're not all the time, but when they happen, it's just like, I try to live tweet the show, because I really enjoy live tweeting it. I get excited. I interact with people. People seem to like my tweets. So I enjoy it. And that was one of those segments where I literally tried to tweet like 5 or 6 times, because I was like, Cody's coming out. Wait, backspace. Okay, he just got, wait, what? Like, I couldn't even form a tweet till after, because everything was happening at once, and it was just exciting. And then, like Floyd said, Hangman comes out, so you still have that. Nick wasn't there, but Matt was there. And I just love that, it's almost like the Elite and Nightmare family are kind of a kind of bonded factions. Like, even though you have Cody with the Nightmare family, Cody with the Elite, but it sort of all goes together, because we've seen Dustin, with the Bucks back, in the fall. So, I mean, I love that. And it's kind of one of those, you don't know who's going to come out. So seeing Matt come out was really exciting. And then Hangman, and he flips off Matt. I mean, to me, it's just it's exciting. And like Floyd said, when you have these factions and you get to bring people into the show, like we got more Cody, which was great. And I honestly didn't know if he'd come out after what he went, had Jake the Snake Roberts come out and just verbally attack him. So, it was exciting. Sets up a great match for next week. Cody versus Ortiz. I am always going to be so happy when I can get a singles match on Dynamite with Cody, and it's a match we've never seen before, so I am very excited for that. But, yeah, overall, I thought the segment more than did its job. I think it was absolutely exciting, and, very, very good segment. And I love the alliances and also continuing that bit with Hangman and Matt. Like, clearly this isn't over there. So, again, just a brilliant segment. I love when AEW does those segments where you're just like, you can't keep up with it because there's so much going on.
Yes, when good guys, a.k.a. Cody, see injustice happen, they have to do something about it. That brings me to our next segment, the Angry Floyd moment of the week. All right.
Uh-oh.
The main event. Now, all right, so we got Jon Moxley and Darby Allin versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. So, Jericho, it's a 2 Judas night. Those are always good nights. Jericho and Guevara come out. Then we get Darby Allin comes out. He's super popular and everyone loves him. But we're going to have to find out something about Darby Allin. Jon Moxley music hit, and you see Jon Moxley coming down the crowd. All of a sudden, he is jumped by 3 masked individuals. The masked individuals turned out to be Hager and Santana Ortiz, and they're beating the shit out of Jon Moxley. You know what would be great right here? Is if his partner had his back. Wouldn't that be amazing? But we get a shot from the crowd of Darby Allin literally watching on the video as his partner's getting the crap beat out of him, doing nothing about it. How does this make sense to anyone? Tiffany, do you have any input?
I didn't even really, I swore they said something that whoever was out there when that was happening, did something, gave Darby a move or something.
No,
almost 99% sure.
He was literally, I watched it back. He was literally standing outside watching him get beat up on the video.
Yeah, you're right. I think that, I don't know. I didn't really think about it because I think that the bigger moment was just to put Darby in the spotlight against 2 people and have him shine. So I'm okay with it because it gave us that moment for him, kind of similar that no one came out to try and help Darby. I think for me, I was just looking at the bigger picture, so it didn't really bother me the way it bothers you. I see your point, though. It was a little surprising. But, to Darby's defense, it could come off that, he didn't want to take a loss, since wins losses matter in AEW. If he leaves the ring, who knows if they would have, counted him out, lose the match. Instead, he stayed there and took on 2 people and killed it. So, I don't know. It didn't bother me.
Worst tag team partner ever. It's literally the reason when I was growing up, again, it's a pet peeve for me. The reason I went for heels when I was growing up is because, and I think I've told people this before, when you were a heel, and I would root for Dusty, Sting, all of them, right? Dusty would get jumped by the Horsemen, and Dusty would just be out there getting jumped by the Horsemen. And then anyone tried to jump Ric Flair, the Horseman would come out and have his back. So even in my child head, I was like, I want to be the bad guy because the bad guy's friends have his back. The good guy gets his ass kicked. So this was all flooding back to me as I see Jon Moxley getting his ass kicked 3-on-1, and I see Darby Allin in the crowd hey, how's it going? How's it going? Keep getting beat up like that. I'm just what is going on? The point of being a face is when injustice is happening, you cannot let it happen. I don't know. I don't
know. Darby's not a face like that though, so I don't know. It didn't bother me at all.
Darby's
so I think we'll have to disagree on this one.
Darby's come out like the last 3 weeks to save people.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I don't know what to say. It didn't bother me.
I know it didn't bother you. I understand it didn't bother you. But Darby Allin is a horrible person, but a horrible friend and partner. Great wrestler, because then he goes on in this match to put on a star-making handicap performance. Again, I will always say there will be stuff that bothers certain people in wrestling that won't bother anybody. Then there's going to be stuff that bothers me, which generally I'm out on the ledge on my own on this one. But yes, this match, he put on a hell of a match. Now I will tell you the moment of the match for me is he's fighting with Sammy Guevara. And at this moment, if he had a tag team partner, he would generally cross to the ropes and then, jump and do the tag and get the hot tag, right? With Darby Allin in his infinite awesomeness and wisdom, stands up to the corner, does all the motions like he's hot tagging, then hot tags himself, and then does a hot tag. Like all the moves that goes with a hot tag. I have literally never seen that before, and that was fucking
brilliant.
Awesome.
It was.
I will give him shit for what happened at the beginning all day, but his performance in this match was amazing, and that, like I said, the hot tag to himself was crazy. Him and Sammy Guevara, I can very much see wrestling for the AEW World Title a few years from now. I could definitely see, because they are definitely the future of this company. But Darby was in his excitement. He telegraphed a move. Jumping through the second ropes to Chris Jericho. He did it so quickly. The announce team missed it. He pulled off a Judas effect, an anti-air Judas effect on Darby Allin, rolled him in the ring, and Sammy Guevara got the pin. And so they're still attacking Darby, and Moxley comes, and they're all in the ring. Moxley comes out with a chair to swing on everyone. The Inner Circle gets the best of him. Then they do a triple powerbomb from the stage through the tables, and then they do the shield thing, but instead of putting in their fists, they put in middle fingers and point them at Moxley. Moxley does not leave the building on his own 2 feet. What did you think about all of this? Start with Darby's performance.
Darby was amazing. I think that for me, sometimes with wrestling, I think I've learned over the last 30-plus years that you sometimes just have to suspend that belief and let little things go, like him not going backstage, because if he would have ran up and helped Moxley, then we don't get that amazing, 2-on-1 match. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm willing to overlook for the bigger picture. So, for me, that didn't bother me. And that's just something as a wrestling fan. I'm not saying that you don't have valid points. I definitely want to make sure that that I agree with you that logically, but it's wrestling. So sometimes you just have to let those moments go, because they wanted to take Mox out so that Darby could shine. So if that's where it was leading, I'm fine with it. So Darby shined. He's a star, and the amount of fan support that he has and his talent, and he, a lot of people know that, I was growing up very much a big Jeff Hardy fan, and I pay this as the utmost highest compliment that I feel like Darby has a lot of Jeff qualities, and so it's great to see in the ring, that just, he's cool. It sounds corny, but he's just cool. You look at him and you like him. Like, it's hard not, I don't know. As far as I know right now, I don't know anyone who doesn't like Darby, and it's kind of with Jeff, how always had that too. Like, people just love Jeff, and Darby has that same likable star power ability, and he backs it up in the ring. He's so good. And the point that Floyd talked about with the hot tag was just brilliant. That Judas effect as Darby flew off through the second rope was just brutal. I caught it the first time, and then, like Floyd said, it was so quick that the announcers didn't immediately. So, yeah, that was That was terrifying because he nailed him, and everything that happened as far as Mox, coming back out after Darby lost, and Mox doesn't walk out on his own. We end with the middle fingers, the triple power bomb. It was just, I thought it was really done well. And as we talked about at the beginning of the show, even though Floyd definitely didn't fall for it, I think the majority of us did. But a brilliant move by Chris Jericho, kind of planting that seed at the beginning of Dynamite, making you think, well, we kind of, it's going to be cool to watch, but we kind of know where this is going because most, obviously the internet kind of ruins things sometimes. People know Fozzy has a tour coming up. And I believe even during the opening segment, I'm pretty sure Denver crowd were chanting Fozzy sucks. And clearly what Chris Jericho did worked because the crowd was chanting Fozzy sucks. So they were already mad that they kind of was like, well, this is it. This is out. He's going to be gone for 60 days. However, did not happen. Chris Jericho's brilliant. He definitely got a lot of us hook, line, and sinker, and we get the show ending with Moxley clearly not leaving the arena on his own, so now we wait for next week to see what happens next.
And as your crack researcher for this show, I went and checked to get ready for the show and to let you know, not one of Fozzy concerts is on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's true, too. So this may not even affect anything.
Yes. I mean, I went through.
But people think they're smarter than they are. So.
Yeah, I went through the calendar, and I'm like, I went all the way to August. Not one of his concerts is on Wednesday. So.
Yeah, Chris Jericho's always doing things. It's not like he goes on Wednesday and then just goes home. Like, he's constantly doing stuff, so I can very much see him continuing to be there and still do the tour. So we may get lucky, and I hope that happens. But yeah, we also, don't forget, we need to talk about MJF's backstage interview.
Oh, I literally saw, it's on my list and I skipped over it.
I mean, it makes sense to skip over MJF. I get it, but we probably should talk about it.
Dude, this interview was, this was 80s heel all the way. Single cam, got Wardlow in the back. He cuts the promo. He says he's going after Jon Moxley. He's like, he actually doesn't care who the world champion is. He's going to be the greatest world champion in the history of wrestling. He didn't even say AEW, the history of wrestling. And most important, the line at the end where he says, he tags on, he has a shirt that says, "I pinned Cody." And he's like, man, this shirt is obnoxious. It's distracting. It's over the top. It's distracting, kind of like a neck tattoo. Disgusting. MJF.
Yeah, that was very much uncalled for, MJF. We are not friends, so I don't have much to say other than that. MJF is terrible. He's a terrible person. But yeah, I mean, if I set aside my personal bias, it was really, really a good promo. It's exactly what it needed to do. You kind of still, he made sure he had the I Pinned Cody shirt. He talked about a bigger picture for himself, but it still leaves that possibility of us revisiting Cody and MJF, whether it's, farther down the road, if it's at Double or Nothing, kind of like their entire feud has been. There's been the parts where, it's almost like a little break from it, and then we revisit it, because I think Cody will still get his revenge at some point, but it's we don't have to continue it every week on Dynamite, or it might get a little bit where people are, okay, can we do something else? But they already have. So that feud's so beautifully done that it's been well over a year, and it still has potential to move forward if people want to see it. But you have things like Jake the Snake coming out, with Cody and talking about his client. You have MJF talking about world champion. I mean, you don't have to continue it on a weekly basis for it to still be a thing. And I love that. I absolutely love that. But I will go on record in saying, if you didn't watch my video from Heart of the Elite last week, I love Cody's tattoo. Cody's body, it's his body. He can do whatever he wants with it. No one, absolutely no one, has a say in what he does, what anyone does with their body, whether it's hair dye, what they wear, a tattoo, a piercing, none of your business. So if you don't like it, then you don't talk about it. Moving forward, Floyd, what did you think about MJF?
I thought the promo was great. Like I said, straight. It felt like it was at a time capsule. I thought the shirt was awesome. I would never buy it. And if you buy the shirt, you are not my friend. But yes, I thought that was
I second that.
That was.
It was a good throwback to the Dusty Eats Eggs one. I can't remember who wore that way back in the day, but it was definitely it was a great old school like heel moment, and he did it perfectly. It was just great.
Yes, it was a rare form. It was rare form for MJF. Yeah, I was like super, like, it was like one of those things that he's just so good at it. There was a little controversy this week. Looks like there was a clout grab. Parents complaining about interaction with MJF. Was it at C2E2?
Yeah, it was.
And he gave the kid a middle finger. And it was
not the first time he's done that, by the way.
Not the first time he's done that. It was hilarious to me. It's just, like I said, it's a clout chase, because you know when you sign up for MJF what you're getting. Enough people have told you all what you're getting. Quickly, for Dark next week, they recorded Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy versus Peter Avalon, Kip Sabian, Havoc versus Severino Carinta. Carinta is a local guy. And then Hikaru Shida versus Abaddon. And actually, Kenny actually retweeted that she did a good job. So definitely check out Dark. And
looking forward to that.
The last thing we're going to talk about really quick. What have they announced for AEW or Dynamite next week?
Next week on Dynamite, hold on, I had it right in front of me, and then I started to scroll. We have Cody going one-on-one with Ortiz. We're going to have the debut of the Death Triangle taking on Joey Janela in Private Party. Jurassic Express is going to take on MJF, the Butcher, and the Blade, and we are going to get the official rules to Blood and Guts, which is happening May 25th in New Jersey. So we are going to find out exactly what that match will entail, which I'm pretty excited about, because they kind of made the point of saying you think you know, but no, you don't know. So this is going to be very, probably very old school, very reminiscent of what we originally expect from that match. So I'm very, very excited for that. Obviously very excited for Cody to have a one-on-one match with Ortiz, get to see the Lucha Brothers and tag together for the first time and as a trio. Janela and Private Party, that should be an interesting, I kind of think it could work as far as a trios team too. And if there's ever a possibility of trios championships and you have a team like Private Party that maybe doesn't have a spot in the tag team division at that time, someone like Joey Janela, who is not to say lost in the singles division, but it's just, you have one show a week right now, and hopefully we'll get our second show soon. But you do something like a trios championship, again, like a faction, it puts people on TV that maybe weren't before and gives it purpose. So we'll see what happens there. And then, the Jurassic Express and Butcher Blade and MJF. So we get to see MJF in action as well. So it's already shaping up to be one heck of a Dynamite that we've come to expect. So I'm already counting down.
Yep, it's going to be a super exciting Dynamite. Before we get out of here, which we only got a few minutes left, just want to go over this week, Wrestling Observer newsletter put out their award winners, their yearly reward winners. And this is, the Wrestling Observer is Dave Meltzer's website and podcast. And he puts this out every year. It's his readers actually voting on it. This is not Dave. And generally, if you're a member of Wrestling Observer newsletter, you're a pretty hardcore fan. We have our podcast has an account. That's how I keep up with a lot of things, the comings and goings. AEW cleaned up. Chris Jericho, these are just the Jericho awards. He won the Lou Thesz Ric Flair Award for Wrestler of the Year. He ran the United States Canada MVP. He won Best Box Office Draw and Most Charismatic. He also won Best on Interviews. Cody was robbed. I just want to say that. I love Chris Jericho.
Absolutely agree.
But last year, the most talked about promos in anywhere were Cody's promos. That just like irked.
He was a very close second, I will say.
Yeah. So.
But still, he should have been number one. I agree.
He definitely should have been number one. Best major wrestling show was AEW Double or Nothing from Vegas. We got the rookie of the year was Jungle Boy. The Mexico MVP was Rey Fenix. The tag team of the year was Lucha Bros. And the promoter of the year was Tony Khan. Actually, Tony Khan got second in Booker of the year. He got second in Booker of the year. That's crazy. Like, literally what you would call his first year as a booker and his first year as a promoter. He wins promoter of the year, and he gets second in Booker of the year. Gato's won, like, 10 years in a row. It's going to be really hard to get rid of Gato. I think Excalibur was second behind Kevin Kelly and announcer of the year. So it was a big.
That's huge too. That's awesome.
Yeah, big first year for AEW. Match of the year, I believe Dustin and Cody from Double or Nothing got third place, which is, hey, that's solid, because what you're talking about, these are the hardcore of the hardcore wrestling fans, or wrestling nerds, as they are, some people refer to them. But yeah, it was a great year for AEW. If you want to, definitely check out Wrestler Observer newsletter. Dave Meltzer does a great job. So, hey, that's perfect. Did you have any thoughts on the awards?
I'm just very proud to see such dominance from AEW. I think it's definitely well-deserved, and just proof that, they're doing something that's working, and it's only going to get better. So I was very excited, and of course I agree with you. I was very surprised. Jericho is he's the best at what he does, and I definitely agree with everything he got, except I could see him being number 2 in terms of the interview. I thought Cody, and I know I'm very biased, but you have The Rock praising you after that promo he cut back in, the fall, and, that was huge, and all of Cody's promos have just been absolutely stellar. So I'm a little surprised that he didn't win, but it is Chris Jericho, so not mad about it, but I definitely would have put Cody at number 1. But other than that, just phenomenal. Like,
yeah.
TK, great, just amazing to see what he's doing for pro wrestling.
Yeah, my whole thing was, I am not taking anything away from Jericho. Cody was robbed because his promos blew up the internet. They were shared and tweeted, like, through the internet. I'm talking about the one that he cut on MJF, the one that he did on Jericho, the Ellis Island one about saying the blood and guts one, about the word blood and guts. Every time Cody cut a promo, it became newsworthy. It was replayed again on different sites. It was clipped down. So I'm just saying, it seemed like, as far as the interview year, he had the best one. But
absolutely agree.
That is all the time we have for today. Tiffany, thank you for being on the show. Tiffany wrote it was like a letter to Tony Khan. I actually haven't got a chance to read it yet, which I'm a bad friend for that. I recognize that.
You're fine.
But I have retweeted it out from the page. She wrote a letter to Tony Khan. Go and read it, share it, retweet it. Hopefully TK can get to see it. Make sure you're watching Heart of the Elite with Tiffany. Again, she is the heart and soul of All Elite Wrestling. You have to, definitely make sure you're listening to that and follow her at All Elite Tiffany. I think we can get you to 10,000 followers this year. You need that.
It might happen. That would be pretty neat. I will say real quick, the letter, if you just go to heartoftheelite.com, I actually do have my own website. I don't write often, but when I do, it's usually pretty in-depth and meaningful to me. So if you did want to read that letter to Tony Khan and share it, you can find it very easily by just going to heartoftheelite.com, or, of course, like Floyd said, on all of our Twitters, everyone has retweeted it, and I appreciate that. So if he sees it or not, I'm just so happy that people read it and mainly feel that it represents how they feel also. So very cool that it was received so well. So thank you, everybody, for that.
All right. And, again, make sure you're following us at AT Elite Pod. I generally share or retweet pretty much what Tiffany and Amy say a lot through the day. I occasionally have good thoughts of my own, so that works out too. But, yeah, make sure you're downloading the show. And if you have any questions, make sure you get them to us. So for Tiffany, it is Floyd telling you whether it's home, work, or school, always do your best to be elite.